Hi, good morning. I'm Scott Forcino, associate broker with eXp Realty and the founder of PlugIntro.com. I have with us Kevin Faga, a friend and an excellent Westchester-based attorney with a varied practice. Today he's with us, wants to let us know how he best serves clients, how he thinks that transactions should be handled with agents in an ideal sense, and what agents should know to avoid pitfalls and get to the closing on behalf of their clients with everyone happy. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, Scott. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, a little bit about your background and your practice.
Okay, so I was born and raised here in Westchester. My lifelong Westchester guy. My practice has been varied over the years. I've been practicing since 1994, and these days my practice is I've kind of narrowed it down finally to about 25% real estate, 25% criminal defense, 25% divorce, and 25% small general business. So I represent a lot of small business owners, restaurants, contractors, things like that. The real estate and the criminal defense I've been doing for 28 years since the beginning. As a matter of fact, the end of February will be my 28th anniversary practicing. And over the years, obviously, I've seen a lot, learned a lot. I've been through ups and downs in the market, and I find that when agents and lawyers learn to work together, deals work the most smoothly. So that's what I like to foster in relationships with agents. I like us to work together rather than being somewhat adversarial, which is unfortunately very often the case.
That's important. That type of collegiality and professionalism is, I think, the most important thing to get people to conclude the deal. Now, you're New York based, so would you let us know a little bit how that differs from some of the South or some of the West where lawyers handle contracts and closings?
Well, in New York, the lawyers involved basically from beginning to end. We prepare the contract, we review title, we coordinate with the other side, whether we're the buyer or the seller. We coordinate with the other attorney. There is in New York, the lender has their own attorney, so we need to coordinate 3 attorneys, and we prepare the contract. We negotiate certain elements of the contract. We clear title usually. So if there's an outstanding building permit or a violation, usually the attorneys are the ones that have to get involved and clear that up. And then we handle the closing documents, the transfer documents, the deed, transfer tax returns, etc. And in connection with the title company. So New York is kind of more cumbersome in that way than states like Florida, where you have just the real estate agents and the title companies that are involved. The realtors and the title agents handle everything soup to nuts, and we're really not all that involved.
So what do you think? I mean, I know that you get involved as an attorney when you're included as representing one of the parties after the offer is accepted. I mean, what would be an ideal approach from, let's say, representing a seller in preparation of the contract and the closing, or representing a buyer with efforts from their agent, each side of it?
I would love to meet people before there's an offer ever made. I'd like to meet a seller when they're getting ready to put their property on the market, or as they do that, so that I can advise them what documentation they're going to need, what information they're going to need, so that once we actually do have the accepted offer, we have that information and we can prepare contracts and move more quickly. If I can meet them in the beginning and identify, well, there's a deck that I put on 5 years ago and I never got a C of O. All right, well, that's going to be an issue that we have to deal with. So let's deal with it. Let's say in the time from listing to shop, all these buyers coming in and shopping, instead of having to do it when we're under the 45-day gun of signed contract to closing date. It might,
Right.
if it's going to take us 2 months to get an accepted offer, well, that's 2 months of, in effect, wasted time that we could have
Mhm.
been airing. We could have been dealing with potential title issues. So it would make everybody's job a lot easier.
I see. I mean, and how would, I mean, that makes sense to me. You could do things concurrently instead of consecutively. I'm asking with regard to this, as we know, hot market and all-time low rates, what do you see as far as that type of approach evolving now that rates have shifted as of February 11th now, and the market may be changing based on buyers' ability? I mean, do you think that that type of due diligence may shift at all?
I think that kind of due diligence makes it becomes even more important when we have shifting rates, because we don't foresee that rates, having gone up, are going to come back down. They're only going to continue to go up. So the longer it takes for us to get to a closing table, the more likely it is that the buyer is going to be paying a higher rate. Now, does a higher rate translate to a buyer having once been qualified no longer being qualified? Now we have a deal that's falling apart 30 to 45 days in, and the seller's taken their house off the market. The buyer has put their contract deposit at risk, and now we're faced with a lot of finger pointing, a lot of question marks, the potential for litigation. So the more prepared everyone is in the beginning, again, the easier and the faster we can get to a closing table, and we can remove some of the variables that we're being faced with in terms of changing interest rates.
That's something to really consider. What's your thought on the former and maybe current practice of everything going for asking price or above asking? And really, my next question to that is, with those facts in mind, what about people who are waiving mortgage contingency or appraisals?
Okay, well, waiving a mortgage contingency or an appraisal is, unless you're a cash buyer, you should never waive your mortgage contingency. Very simply, if you don't know whether you qualify for a mortgage or not until you've spoken with a mortgage professional who's actually run the numbers specific to this particular home. So waiving a mortgage contingency, I think, is crazy. And if a client of mine was going to do that, I would want them to sign a waiver so that they don't later hold me accountable. Similarly, with the appraisal contingency, your house doesn't appraise, then you're not going to get the 80% of the purchase price that you're expecting to get, or the 90%, or whatever percentage you think you're going to get. So you may not end up getting the mortgage that you need in order to buy this particular home. And very simply, when houses are going for asking price or over, the appraisal may come in. What we're saying is the appraisal may come in short of or lower than the agreed selling price.
Well, what do you say to those agents on both sides of that, where the agents are, I mean, I know either anecdotally or on my own awareness that they're telling people people have to offer above and waive contingencies, even inspection contingencies, or sellers who have been in this last 2 or 3 pre and post COVID world expecting that. I mean, what type of direction can you give those parties?
Proceed with care, proceed with caution, because you may be, again, you may be setting yourself up for a seller taking their house off the market for 30, 45, 60 days, while the potential buyer, who may be acting in absolute good faith, ends up failing to close. So again, now you're looking at potential for litigation, for additional legal fees, and even if those are avoided, just you've wasted time. And in this market, where we may be seeing an end to the upswing in purchase prices, taking a property off the market for 30 to 60 days may mean 30, 40, $50,000 or more in lost income.
Do you think this in the lower New York area, where I assume you practice, the island, the city, Westchester, Putnam, and so on? Do you think that those two practices, are going to change anytime soon, or we're going to just hit that brick wall when it stops?
I think they're going to change, that those practices will change soon. And I think there's an additional pitfall of these practices that buyers don't realize until maybe 4, 5, 6 months after the closing, which is you've paid an inflated value for your home. The local municipality is going to reassess your property taxes based on the selling price. And if your seller is paying their taxes based on their $195,000 purchase price from 40 years ago, and you're now getting reassessed based on your $800,000 purchase price, well, your property taxes are going to go up substantially. And if you've reached to get into your home at a certain payment, all of a sudden your payment is $300 a month more, $500 a month more. You're going to be faced with potential foreclosure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that lenders are taking that into consideration right now. I think they're doing it on the current tax rate that people are paying. I think they're not contemplating the proposed or reasonably expected tax increase. I think they're potentially putting people in a position where they're going to be unable to afford a huge increase in taxes of $5,000 or $10,000 a year.
Agreed. I had dinner with a mortgage banker the other night, and he told me that exact story. He said he got a call about 3 months after a closing from somebody who said something's wrong. My mortgage payment went up $300 a month. He said the bank had nothing to do with it. Your taxes went up. The guy said, "Wow, I don't know if I could stay here now. I may have to sell this house."
Wow. Not only did he sell the house, not only did he buy it at the top of the market, he'll have nearly no equity between closing costs in, closing costs out. He's going to be flat. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are flat or maybe a little bit underwater in the next 2 to 4 years.
I agree. I foresee that, and I caution my buyers when I can.
So I mean, so then, does everyone have a short memory from 2008 to 2010? Didn't we see this movie?
One of the things that I'm seeing is when you have, especially, they don't remember 2008 to 2010. You have some of the younger, less experienced agents who weren't around, don't know anything about it. Nobody bothered to teach them or educate them in terms of what happened back then and what could happen again. And then, of course, you have some people that are just short-sighted and say, let me close, let me get my check, and let me keep it moving. And of course, that doesn't build
Yeah.
a relationship.
Well, I think you and I are both. I think you and I are both Gen Xers, and the people who are a bit younger, let's say 40 and under, they're not maybe as interested in relationships as others are, where they're looking everything online, and unless they like what they read or hear, they may not be looking for the guidance or their mentorship that is something where a professional like yourself offers. I mean, let me ask you about how you derive, how you generate, and how you exchange business introductions and referrals. I mean, how big a role has that played with you as far as your practice and what you offer others and contribute on an even exchange?
I think that in terms of referrals, they're indispensable. They're a huge portion of the of my practice and how I get new clients. And sorry, I'm getting notices. So the referrals are indispensable, and referrals come from relationships, and obviously they only come from positive relationships. So I need to demonstrate to a client or to a referral source like a real estate agent that I'm different than the other lawyers out there. And look, I say this all the time. There are 1,000 mechanics out there. There are 1,000 lawyers out there. There are a lot of people that do what I do. The difference is the way in which I do it, and the fact that I have experience that many people don't have, not being, right out of the box. The new lawyer smell wore off many, many years ago. So I, it's all about relationships, and I value my good relationships. My referral sources are extremely important to me, and I do my best to educate my clients and my referral sources and keep them informed of what I think is coming up, down the pike. And this way we all make better decisions. Nobody wastes their time. Nobody gets into deals, and we all learn to trust, respect, and and work together. How do
Right. I
I?
think that, of course, if you're in this type of space, okay, Kevin,
Oh, I just wanted to answer another part of your question, Scott, which how do I
please.
how do I in turn refer cases out? And again, the cases that I refer out, uh, primarily a client will call me and say, "Hey, I have a sophisticated, shareholder derivative action that I need to do, and it might not be something that I do, so I'll refer it to another attorney that I trust and respect." In terms of a client asking me for a real estate agent or broker, or a mortgage agent or a mortgage broker or banker, similarly, I don't do it, so I need to refer to those people that I know are knowledgeable, that I find are trustworthy, that are ethical, and that will not waste my client's time, will not steer my client wrong, and won't in turn create a negative feedback based on my having referred them.
Sure. I mean, a referral is gold. But my question when I needed to meet more people as an EXP associate broker, and I think that referrals are tough because it may not be something that works out. You may not be in the right place. Maybe the person's in a position where they can't accept a referral because their brother's in the business. However, it's easier, I think, for someone like me to provide for you, you to provide others, is a place and a platform and a system to just get introductions. Where if you would meet my contacts, my local friends, family, people that you know from school, clients, or just even friends out, that's such an easier uh, opportunity. I think that introductions are really where it's at now more than ever because of COVID, because in the north we have winter, because of busy schedules as a parent, as a professional. It's so much easier to work within an organization where introductions are paramount. They're quick. This Mr. Plumber meet Mr. Electrician, Mr. Accountant meet Mr. Attorney. That's easy, and that's what I like to think that the PlugIntro users have an opportunity to just make introductions through Facebook or text or email or phone call. And a lot of times I think that 10 introductions are better than one referral, because one referral, you really got to get a hit on that one time, and they may not love your style, or you may be on a vacation. Unfortunately, in the real estate space, people didn't get back to me quick enough. You could be in 3 straight closings, or doctor could be in surgery, and you can't call right back. I know a lawyer that had a practice that got really damaged by COVID. He and his staff were hit week after week after week. They basically were out of commission for a month. But I think if you have a steady flow of people that you're providing a benefit for, of allowing them to promote their business like you are, I think that's something that, in the digital world we live in, if you're not giving away digital positions and giving someone a chance to promote their business, I think you're crazy today. It's easy, it's fun, it's free.
I agree. I mean, there's really no substitute for introductions, and the difference with PlugIntro is that it's not going to a cocktail party of all real estate agents where everybody's obviously competing. Uh, in this forum, it's a real estate agent and a plumber and an electrician, etc., where we all, just by virtue of life, not just business, we need these other experienced professionals.
Yeah, I agree. And I really, a unique feature of this platform, which I think that social media does not have, is that of local proximity. I just, for the viewers, I needed a plumber because I had some flood damage in my basement. Kevin has one right on the spot. The guy came, was super professional, neat, got it done. And I basically, he was the only one that did a great job. And he's a sweetheart of a guy. And we have a lot of people in common. In a social media setting, you may broadcast that that your services, but you're not going to travel an hour and a half to be a plumber. There's so many within your backyard. So
Right.
it's really important, I think, those people that need to work in the physical space to have local. I mean, local is best, and especially after COVID, support local. Go to the bookstore and not Amazon. Support someone that is in your life that could really appreciate you. When you see them at the school function, you say, "Hey, thanks for helping my friend out," and you help everyone, yourself, the person that needs the services, and the service provider. It's so important.
Agreed. Well, I'm here.
So, Kevin, I mean, would you let us know how's the best way to reach you, and how we can direct agents to learn more about you and your firm?
Okay, so we actually the beginning of this year, I promoted my longtime associate to partner. So we're operating now under the firm name of Faga, which is HLADKI. Our website is attorneyswestchester.com, and you can learn a lot more about myself, my partner, our associate, and about the firm and what we do. Phone number 914-358-1373. I'm happy to hear from anyone. I answer questions all the time, and listen, if you're having difficulty with something and you already have lawyers involved, and there's already an agent involved, but there's difficulty, you can still give me a call. I will impart my advice, and be happy to try to help. I'm not looking to step on anybody else's toes, but sometimes a fresh set of eyes can assist. And I often get calls from agents that say, "Listen, the two lawyers in this deal are hitting a wall. They don't know how to get over this certain hurdle." And they could be excellent attorneys, very capable, but they haven't had a certain experience that I happen to have, and I'm able to even give an agent some advice. Hey, tell them to look into XYZ, and a lot of times that'll help. And
Mhm.
so,
Well, Kevin, I know you are a great resource. You helped me personally. You've done well for clients and contacts. I'm happy to call you a professional that I very easily can refer and trust with clients. So look forward to another video from Kevin, more information about his services and how clients and agents can better serve themselves and complete transactions. Thank
thanks,
you.
Scott. Working with you.
Take care now.